I'll start now. Okay. So, Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to everyone who is currently in Zoom joining us tonight and as well watching from FB Live. Okay, so for tonight, our topic in Career Talk Master Series will be chemical engineering with our special guest, Mr. Hafiz Azzad Zubir from batch SPM 1993, who is currently the Senior General Manager of Operational Excellence, Petronas Upstream in Petronas. All right, so a little background on Mr. Hafiz is that he was previously in MRSN Taiping in class 01 in Form 4 and Form 5, and he is also a holistic student. So he has represented MRSN Taiping in athletics and tennis, and he was also in Cadet Laut and appointed as Ketua Pengawas in Form 5. So he is someone who has a lot of character built up, which can be diikuti even until now. All right, so his SPM started in 1993, and after that, he did his degree in chemical engineering at Imperial College, London, from 1995 to 1999. So then, from there, obtaining his degree, he started his career path. All right. So after doing a degree, he was the operations engineer, also in Petronas, from 2000 to 2002. After the operations engineer, he was the operations supervisor in Bekok Field from 2003 to 2004. And then he was the business planner, Malaysia operations. And then he was the manager in the president's office. And then after working for a long time, or actually you could say from 2000 to 2005 for 5 years, he went to Uzbekistan and was the deputy general director. Yes. And after that, he was the senior manager in international assets from 2011 to 2014. And he is then the head production at Garaf, which is in another country in Africa. And then he was the general manager in Garaf operation. And then the general manager of production gas, PMA. And after that, he is who he is currently, the Senior General Manager of Operational Excellence. All right, so you can see that Mr. Hafiz Azzad Zubir is someone who has a lot of experience, and he is someone that if you have any questions to ask, he is the person to ask right now, tonight. So for any questions, do just hit us in the comment section for FB Live. And if from Zoom, you can just type out the questions in the chat box. All right, so I pass the screen to Mr. Hafiz Azzad.
Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, good evening. So thank you, Iman, for that introduction. So the head of production Garaf and GM of Garaf operations, which in this picture where I am right now, where it is actually in Iraq. Actually working in Iraq for almost a little bit more than 4 years, and I was taking care of a 200,000 barrel facility producing oil for the Iraq government. After which I came back to Kerteh back again from where I started as the GM for production, where we supplied gas for the Peninsular Malaysia so that we have enough gas not just for our plants but also for our electricity in Peninsular Malaysia to today I'm the SGM for Operational Excellence, where I help our upstream operations operate their facilities in international and also Malaysia. A little bit more about who I am. I'm married. This is my wife, Fadila. I share her passion in traveling. I'm actually a very reluctant traveler, but I think she ignited and I share the passion where we've traveled together to many places around the world for work, which sometimes I follow when she has the opportunity, or she will follow and I have the opportunity. And then we've been, the pictures that you see over here are some of the countries that we've been in: South Korea, South Africa. I was in Copenhagen in the bottom left before I went to Greenland. And we stopped over Dubai when I was working in Iraq and she was working in Azerbaijan. And we're blessed with 2 children. My son Hafiz is 16. Through his pre-IGCSE, we've been overseas so long that I do not have the opportunity to put them through a normal school like where I went through, and they had to get into the IGCSE program. My daughter, Kyrene, is going through an IB program, and they are amazing kids. And I'm sure you guys are also amazing, because what I had to learn from books so that I can have a meaningful conversation with my parents on general knowledge and geography and country history, today are at their fingertips. And sometimes it is a scary time to have conversations with kids at that age that I have right now. And I think it's even scarier to have conversations with you guys, where information and knowledge is at your fingertips. But I've left Taiping for 29 years. I've never stopped learning, and I think today I hope I get some questions that will allow me to learn something new from you guys. We're almost 1 year into the COVID new way of life. So I had to relearn my cooking skills during my college and university days. I had to learn also to cut hair. We used to cut hair in MRSM Taiping dulu, because it's not easy to ask for permission from the teachers to go out every weekend. So we had to alternate weekends. 1 week is for the ladies, the other one is for the guys. But if you make friends with some of the teachers, you are able to probably go out with them. Don't quote me on that. I'll get you guys into trouble. I've also had to learn to work from home, and the picture over there shows what my online working looks like on a dining table. But what you see in my camera today right now is one of those things that I've learned from my nieces and nephews who are slightly older, who are more involved in TikToks, IG, and YouTube. And if I can show you a picture, I've got a YouTuber set up at home, which is why it looks like this. What I miss the most is my passion. So my wife likes to travel. I like to go underwater and dive and take pictures. And I take pictures which are no bigger than 1 centimeter, mostly, which is macro photography. And they look like that. And the yellow fish is something that I'm really proud of. I went to Philippines to dive. We dived in that site for twice. Each dive was about 1.5 hours. And I spent 45 minutes taking that picture over those 2 dives. And that got me the top 100 photographer in Malaysia in 2018. Right? So as you grow up, and I think as you drive your passion, you will have to support whoever your friends are, your family, your spouse, and I think bring them together to be part of your passion when you grow up and you live your life. And that's a picture of me on top of Lion's Head. If any of you are Googling right now where Lion's Head is, it's in Cape Town, South Africa. You have to hike about an hour and a half to get to that mountain so that you can have a good landscape photography of Table Mountain when it's sunrise in the morning. Right. And so my point over here is to show that the kind of choices I've made from Taiping, my career has allowed me to pursue some of the things that we see when we're growing up. I think some of you are probably privileged enough, opportune enough to travel the world, but we dreamed when we were in Taiping. We saw pictures in books, we read history about some of the countries that I visited, and I think I wanted to share with you guys that whatever choices you guys make, learn from them, and over time you'll be able to realize some of those passionate things that you guys want to do, be it scuba diving, traveling, photography, or visiting interesting countries that you can learn from. Next. So so I wanna, so in Petronas, where I work today, it is not just about where I come from. It's not just about that I've studied in MRSM Taiping. It's not just about that I've studied in Imperial College or chemical engineering for that matter. I think it is also about how did you build your passion over time? What are you passionate about when you're at school, and how do you show up with your teachers, with your friends, with your friends from other schools? And those passions will change over time. Right now, it's probably about competing with each other, who can do the at-match problem in the shortest time possible, or memorizing the history book so that we can answer verbatim like what the book says. I had a friend who got into trouble in SPM Percubaan because he answered the sejarah paper exactly like the book. But when we had our teachers check him, he actually memorized the whole book. So we had amazing people when we were in MRSM Taiping, and we could see many of their passions there, and being aware of those passionate people and how they drive their performance is something that you can learn from as you grow up into your career. Okay. So next. So chemical engineering in oil and gas, where does it fit? Actually, it can fit anywhere. Oil and gas typically has three major areas of business. Where I am is upstream business. You probably hear a lot about oil price. It went down to almost $35 a barrel. It made Petronas very uncomfortable for a while, but that's only a small portion of what the oil and gas is. And in the upstream business is where we go out in the middle of the sea, we go out in the middle of the desert, we go out in the middle of practically unheard of terrain to drill a well. And sometimes we hit gas, sometimes we hit oil, most of the time we hit water and nothing. So the typical success rate of oil and gas is about 1 to 10, or probably almost 2 to 10. What does it have to do with chemical engineering? The easiest thing is when you produce oil or gas up into the surface, chemical engineer designs the process of how to separate gas, oil, water, and designs the pipeline on how to transport oil and gas back to land. And that's where we get to the gas and new energy, where again, a chemical engineer will design plants to liquefy natural gas, will liquefy natural gas for your tong gas at home, where you guys or your mom used to cook. We send the gas to TNB or the independent power producers for them to run their turbines to produce electricity. We process oil in refining. The most typical thing that you guys would hear in refining is how to refine crude oil into diesel, jet fuel, petrol. But what you guys don't hear is how do we refine further those chemicals into sabun, soap, makeup, moisturizers, plastic products, your spectacles that you wear, the plastics that you wear, the new technology of plastics. Dulu you would go to the optician, you have to convince your parents to pay a lot of money to have those thin lenses. That came from knowing how to refine and get products from hydrocarbon to make those plastics. And chemical engineers design those things because you understand chemistry. When you understand chemistry, you design processes which you collaborate with your mechanical engineers, your electrical engineers to design how big a plant should be, how the process should flow through a plant. And if you were to look at this picture, a chemical engineer can be in anywhere of this. What's the most basic important thing to prepare yourself to be a chemical engineer? It's the same as any engineering subject. You will need strong fundamentals in mathematics. You need strong fundamentals in physics. You need strong fundamentals in chemistry, especially in chemical engineering. But you'll need strong fundamentals in economics, finance, because one of the things that when you design a process, people will ask you, how much is this going to cost me? Can I make returns from it? So when you become a chemical engineer, you don't just design something and, okay, we'll let the accountants figure out how to make this profitable. No, it's actually the engineers that needs to figure out how to make this profitable. So we might not be as deep as accountants, as finance people, as economists, but those are some of the basic knowledge that you will have to build. And some of those subjects that you are probably learning today, which in my time, we had to upskill ourselves quite quickly when we went to university, because at the time, the focus was very core fundamental subjects during my SPM times. Today, language is an opportunity for you guys. When I was in MSM Taiping, we only had English and Bahasa Malaysia. And even that time, we were struggling among ourselves. The diversity of people that came into MSM Taiping, we had to learn how to speak Bahasa to Kelantanis, to a Sarawakian, to a Sabahan. Then we had to understand the English dialect of many parts of Malaysia. And it was fun. And you guys now have the opportunity to learn a few languages, if I'm not mistaken, now in MRSM. Please do take the opportunity. I was in Uzbekistan as my first long-term assignment, and I learned how to speak Russian because nobody spoke English very well. And for me to go to the market to buy food, to take a taxi, to go and have a chat with the friends, outside of work, I had to learn how to speak Russian. Right, so I know a little bit of Russian. It was quite a long time ago. I can understand it, but I don't speak that well anymore because lack of practice. I was in Iraq for about 4.5 years. I tried to learn Arabic, but everybody wanted to speak and learn English from me. So I became the English teacher with Jarina when we developed about 250 of our local Iraqi staff to operate our plant over there. And it was amazing. I'll show you later pictures about it. Okay, let's go a bit next. So what does it look like in Petronas or in a typical oil and gas company? In Petronas specifically, the engineering skill groups, you guys will probably be thinking about mechanical, electrical, chemical, then you've got the petroleum engineers, but we've got drilling engineers, we've got geoscience. Geoscience ni nak kata engineer, dia separuh. They are an engineer that goes out, looks at the mountain, imagines whether that mountain is similar to a mountain underground and whether there's oil, water, or gas in there. And that one is an art. It's a mixture of art and a lot of maths and physics, but more art. You go and pick up a stone or a rock, and you show to any geoscientist, none of them will explain the same rock the same. Right? And then, so in oil and gas, you go up to the surface. After you've managed to find oil and gas, you produce it, then you've got electrical engineers. Some people who make sure that we can run our plants. We have power. But instrument engineers, these are people who design the plant so that we can control the plant to operate it safely. Pretty much how you guys see a rice cooker at home. You put the rice cooker in, you put rice in a rice cooker. Who designs when the rice cooker knows the rice is cooked to switch it off? It's those instrument control engineers, right? And then as you go up where the chemical engineers stay, or where we look out for graduates who have early fundamentals who are graduates from chemical engineering. These are process and operations, where I came from. Why? Because we understand how a process works, and we're able to translate how to operate that process with the facilities that's been designed, built, and controlled by our mechanical, electrical instrument engineers. Because we understand process, we are also very much involved in safety and environment. Why? Because process control makes sure that we can control the plant and avoid it from having catastrophic failures. We can have fire, we can have explosions. I'm sure you've heard a few incidents that have happened around the world, including with Petronas with regards to process control. But that's where chemical engineers are needed. Environment, today, we are very much into sustainability. We don't want to flare, we don't want smoke, we want electrical engines who are a lot cleaner, a lot more, less smoke. And chemical engineers are the ones that also look into redesigning a process that is cleaner and more sustainable for the future. Right. Project management is a big, wide opportunity, and I think this is where it's a multitude of skills from chemical engineers to make sure a project is being developed. When you get to university, regardless what engineering skill that you take up, one of the things that you will learn in year 3 or year 4 will be about project management. How do we develop a project, deliver a project, build a plan? And that's when the bigger skill of more than just your engineering skills comes into play. How to write a proposal paper, how to present, how to build a commercial model so that investors are interested to invest in what you're trying to build. So those are things that that is going to be part of your learning in an engineering punya degree, including chemical engineer. What has maritime got to do with it? Well, we've got quite huge processes on ships, where now ships use gas to run their engines. Ships use, there are ships now who process LNG in the middle of the sea. Petronas got 2 floating LNG plants, and we've got to get engineers who also understand maritime punya standards and guidelines to be able to operate and build and run floating facilities that looks like ships. All right, let's go next. Now, okay, one of you, and I noticed the younger generation today, which is closer to your generation, is very excited to know, okay, when I start work, how fast can I go and become like you? Well, okay. I think Puan Aisha also will tell you this. Your worth is built on the experiences that you generate, right? What you learn in SPM today, or some of you in university today, is a foundation that allows you to acquire entry into university. What you learn in university and the other elements around the university. So some universities are in Malaysia, you will learn the society and the community around Malaysia. Some universities will be overseas. If you guys are going to go and sit in a kampung Melayu, duduk kat Malaysia university lah. But if you're going to be able to be given the opportunity to go to university overseas, please go and engage with the locals, get involved with their community, experience their culture. It will bring you back into the more richer and more experienced person who coincidentally has a degree in chemical engineering. And these are the kind of things that organizations look for when we interview, and we want to find people who are exciting, people who are passionate, and these are things that you don't really learn in the classroom. These are things that you learn when you go out and have a conversation with your university mates or your classmates and talk about, hey, kampung hang ada apa? Your mom is a farmer, how does she do? Or your dad is a shipping man, what does he do? So that kind of conversations builds your knowledge as well. And those are interactions and communications that build who you are, apart from duk dengar cikgu jawab soalan, bagi hantar dapat 3A, 4A, 9A. But okay, can you describe why, how, what is it interesting? Agree to disagree on certain points. Those are things that it's what organizations look for. It is actually very common, very generic in whatever you guys do, regardless engineering, accounting, doctor. And those are things that a lot of you miss out when you strive to go for those 9As, 14As, 15As. They are important. I think excellence is important in getting good results. But don't forget, we work with humans, we don't work with machines, and developing social interactions and human skills are very important. So a typical journey in a career in oil and gas, you come in as a junior executive and you go to senior executive, then you have 2 choices. Typically in Petronas, we have an option where you go up the management ladder, where you are being tasked to make tough decisions, manage teams. And then you've got the technical ladder where you become experts in your field. We've got technical experts who are highly technical. They are well known across the industry worldwide. And if you see in the Wall of Fame that recently was being put up, those talents, regardless from what year they are, have established themselves as one of the renowned subject matter experts in their field. In my year, Dr. Ahmad Razman is an economic specialist for Malaysia, and we are always happy, and we have a quick conversation with him after he appears in the media, just to tell him why you say like that. That's not accurate, or we will provide him a bit more information so that helps him provide those insights. So those networks that we built when we were in MRSM is still very strong today, and we leverage on our friends who are doctors, who are economists, who are engineers, to learn, to refer, to ask on things that we don't know. Right. Let's go next. Oops. Okay. So some pictures of my journey in Petronas. So I was very fortunate to have my wife with me in Uzbekistan. And this was a picture that we were in a conference trying to explain to our investors why Petronas was a good company to partner with while we were drilling in the middle of Aral Sea. So if any of you learned geography earlier, Aral Sea was the 4th largest lake in the world, but due to unscrupulous farming and water diversion for farming, the lake has dried up, and we were one of the first few people who built a 200-kilometer road to go drill 2 wells in the middle of Aral Sea. I'll show you pictures about that later as well, how it looks like, where winter was -40 and summer was about 57 degrees. While in Uzbek, also I had the opportunity to meet the past Prime Minister, Tun Abdullah Badawi. He came to Uzbek, and I had to present to him what I was doing in Uzbek. And that was amazing opportunity to be able to speak to a Prime Minister of Malaysia. Next. Okay, so the next one is a video.
Take. Okay. Then I want one photo with you. You're coming with us. Come. Take a picture. Just take a photo. Done. Take it. While it's shutting down. Now you can see the difference, you know, without the gas and with the gas, the sound. Okay. Oh. Oh man.
So working in Petronas also allowed me to travel. I was in South Africa because I was also in South Africa. So while we were there meeting our refining facilities over there, I took the opportunity to also travel the country and learn about the safaris that we see a lot on TV, the documentaries, and I'm telling you, it's better than the documentary. If you guys passionate about traveling, I think South Africa is definitely a country that you should go to, and build up towards those passion, and I'm sure you will have the opportunity to go. That picture sitting down with my phone was me in Azerbaijan, where I was working, and the last picture was a meal with my colleague who came over from Malaysia in our very traditional Iraqi hut where we entertain guests. And that was, I think, my first year in Iraq, and I had some friends over to visit us and also audit how we ran our operations. Right, let's go next. The next few pictures are basically friends I made, which I think I value the most, because these are Iraqi young men and ladies. Unfortunately, due to certain cultural, the ladies, we don't show their pictures in our sharing due to their personal requests. And we built our local team in Iraq from the start. And I think these are things that, as you grow in your career, I'm in Petronas now 21 years. As you grow in career, your first few years, your first 5 years will be about doing, will be about learning. But as you get older and you get to about year 10, year 15, year 20, it is about leading teams, it's about coaching teams, it's about teaching people so that they can work together with you. And these were the things that I treasure the most, I value the most, because this was also the time where I was able to relearn and unlearn some of the things that has been built up across the way. So once you leave school, you will learn and build habits, and you will only break those habits when you have to coach and teach people. And these were things that I said, I've been doing this for the last 10 years. Actually, there's a better way of doing it. And you only realize that when you have to teach someone. And I think this is where I would like to encourage you that your learning doesn't stop after you finish MRSM Taiping. Your learning doesn't stop when you finish university. Your learning doesn't stop until you die. And I'll guarantee you, Puan Aisyah, who's listening as well over here, has to learn all the time so that she's able to excite the new generation of kids that comes to MRSM Taiping, who are a lot more informed than the previous batch, because the speed of information is a lot faster than I was before when it was 29 years ago. Nak cari buku kadang tak cukup buku kat MRSM Taiping. We had to call our parents to mail a book, to go find a book dekat, I don't know which jalan dekat KL that still sells a lot of book. And today you guys battle with your teachers to not switch on your phone, because you're gonna argue with your teacher, try to Google what this means. And teachers today are constantly battling their own personal beliefs. Should I allow them to rely on your digital devices or not? And you guys are probably doing it today. We can't go to school, it's COVID, and you're learning online, and the kind of learning is a lot faster, a lot more precise. If you think it's scary for you, it's even scarier for us and for the teachers that's teaching you guys. Because we're gonna keep a few steps ahead from you to be able to teach you in this kind of environment. Okay, let's go next. And this is where I am today, and what I want to leave you with this picture is we don't really learn how to communicate with people until we are at work. Some of you are experts, some of you are a natural at it at school, and you can see some of them in the form of the Wakil Pelajar punya leaders. They're able to sit, pitch so that you will vote for them as your Badan Wakil Pelajar. You will see your pengawas, some of them who are able to be the middle person and communicate between you and the teachers to ensure that the school is safe, disciplined, and in control. We also see some of those characters where they are debaters. They talk English very well, and some of you dia ni cakap English saja. So those are things that you will scorn on those characters, but these are things that will be very important for you when you leave school and start work. And I had to learn top left picture how to work with my team for 1 year, almost 1 year last year, using a camera and screen and trying to bring people to understand the same platform, not easy. I had to work with what we call today diversity and inclusion. We view opportunities for men and women the same, but it's not just about diversity in men and women, it's diversity of bangsa, diversity of negara, diversity of agama, and having the respect and the appreciation of differing views, because differing views is what makes the idea grow. Right? Next. So a lot of you, when you graduate, will find a view that I would like to work in this building, this office. I'll tell you, I did not get to this building until after 15 years. And I do not regret that. I really do not regret that, because the fact that I was able to work in many places, many locations, some applying my direct chemical engineering knowledge, some I had to learn new skills, business planning, commercial. In Uzbek, I had to learn how to do exploration. I had to learn how to drill a well. Not so much about chemical engineering, but the fundamentals of how I learned chemical engineering helped me learn a new skill. Today, a lot of my skill is having that strong fundamentals of knowledge, technical, about chemical engineering, about process, about safety, so that I can communicate with my team, the lowest technicians, and usually the most important people, to the highest team leaders, managers, general managers, so that they can get the whole engine of the team to work really well. And it's all about communicating effectively. And some of you are going to be very fearful to stand up there and present to the teachers. I'll tell you, your teachers also went through that same fear when they had to learn how to stand and teach you guys in their college, respective universities and colleges. So fear is good, but overcoming fear is what we call courage. Right? And don't be too quick to go and get to this kind of environment where this picture I'm telling you, because your worth when you start working is built on experience with strong fundamentals in knowledge and a desire to seek knowledge. Right? Okay. Jaida, you go next. So I'm going to leave you. I think this one is another video. Is it? Yes. It's a short one, but there's about 8 points in this video that encompasses any engineering or any degree that you need. So I'll let you watch. I'll not say anything yet. Okay.
Is
Tak
everything
jalan,
all right? Or cannot play? Okay. Is it all right if we just go
Okay.
to the next one?
So let's just go next. So what I wanted to show in that short video, you guys can probably go back and find that is there's 8 things that I've learned over my 29 years, regardless what degree you take. Is what we see at work, what we see in life, what we see in friends, and what we see in team members. Well, the first one is what I mentioned in the last slide, which is courage. And courage is only built by understanding and overcoming your fears. It's understanding and overcoming your fear that you build courage. And the next one is determination. A lot of you have courage right now because the first thing is leave home, kena basuh baju sendiri, make sure you wake up early in the morning, go to class so that cikgu tak marah. I think overcoming your fear of staying away from home in a school, in a boarding school, that shows that you guys have courage. But there's a lot more fears that you will have to overcome over your lifetime. Determination is how you focus. How you focus for the next. What some of you from 3, from 4, from 5. How do you drive your determination over the next 2 years to focus what's important to deliver while you're there, which is going through and getting your SPMs and making sure you set the right stepping stones for you to open doors of opportunity, right? Number 3 is my favorite. It's actually called resilience, but I usually call it failure today. Why? Because if you break down the word failure, first attempt in learning, FAIL, first attempt in learning, then URE, unlocks real experience. So resilience is built on multiple failures, but learning from it, right? And my most basic thing is, a lot of you grew up when the first thing your parents will probably teach you is learn how to ride a bike. You will not learn how to ride a bike if you have not fallen a couple of times. And you will know that the best way to learn and balance is through the experience of falling. And that's what resilience is all about. And then the last one, the next one is tenacity. That mental strength for you to stand back up, to try again, to learn something else so that you can move the next step. And these 4 usually allows us to see whether a person has passion or not, whether you believe in what you're doing. And a lot of people will waver when your peer, your kawan will just say, no lah, this one tak bagus lah, then you waver. But if you're passionate about something, you have personal belief and you will pursue what you believe. And that's what we look out for in terms of passion. And usually passion goes hand in hand with persistence, because you will be persistent enough to pursue that belief that you've built. And number 7 is where kadang-kadang most of us goyang. It's called endurance. So over the 2 years, many of my friends, when we came in, nak jadi apa? Doctor. By the time we're almost about SPM, nak jadi apa? Engineer. Kenapa doktor tak mau? Takut darah. But you will see people who are very set in their courage, determination, resilience, tenacity, passion, persistence, that they are able to have the endurance to stick to something all the way. And I've got friends who are in Persatuan Bulan Sabit Merah in Malaysia and Taiping, and today they are doctors. Right? So and you will notice that as you grow, as you leave Emerson Taiping, you leave the endurance to stay the course the endurance to make sure that you learn on the new things and the failures that you make, so that you can still move forward. That's something that you will have to sustain, have to learn how to build all these 7 behaviors, and that's when all this is demonstrated positively or negatively, is how we measure excellence. It's not good or bad. It's just a matter of what I see over time when I gauge a talent or how I've grown myself. These are 8 things or 7 that really tell whether this person can go towards the excellence or whatever the excellence may be. You can be the excellent teacher, and you will see that the difference of teachers that you have right now in Taiping, you will gauge the excitement, the interesting part that you just bring to the table to you. Same goes at work, and same goes your friends look at you. And these are some of the things that each of you don't realize it, but you are looking for this kind of qualities in people to learn from, to make friends, to be best friends, because these are things that excite us as human beings, right? Okay.
All right. So that is the last slide, right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure how we're gonna go into the Q&A. I'm okay.
Okay, I'll make it very short.
So
I'll make it very short. Don't worry. But I do have a question. So you obtained these points of grit. Is it from a specific book by Angela Duckworth?
it was. I've not read the book.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah. But I think it resonates a lot to me, and how when I was thinking, what do I need to share with this bunch of new generation, which is probably 29 years younger than me, very informed, more intelligent, more genius group of people. So I was trying to bring something that is more basic, something that I think you can be the best student, you can be the best engineer, but these are some of the qualities that is built over time. It is not built overnight. And these are things that people in organizations, people in societies, when they look for leadership, when they provide opportunities, these are things that they look up for. Right?
Yep, that's very true. That's very true indeed. And it's such an inspiring talk that you have given to us. Like, it's not only encompassing chemical engineering, but it touches a lot on what is the journey of life itself and the journey of learning to what you have become now, of course. But okay, let's go on to the questions. All right, so our first question from Ilham is, are chemical engineers in Malaysia in high demand? And may I add on, especially with how oil and gas is a limited resource, so how has chemical engineering shifted throughout the years and trends and going forward?
I think today, the demand of chemical engineers is still there. Demand, how do I build a plant that can produce better batteries? Because we're going for electrification of cars, bicycles, and those cars, bicycles use batteries. The chemicals that we make to make batteries need to be produced in a process facility. And how do we design better plants, better facilities, operate them a lot cleaner, a lot more responsibly in terms of the environment? And that's where the role of a chemical engineer is still required. But I want you guys to think beyond that. A chemical engineer can be a drilling engineer. Why? Because you also need to know how to run flow assurance, so that while you drill, the mud system is being managed really well, where a mud system in a well, when it's being drilled, is being used to lubricate the well. And those are things that when you're doing chemical engineering, it's called flow assurance. You will learn a lot about those in physics initially today, but they will be used a lot when you get to chemical engineering. You will also be designing new processes called hydrogen. We'll probably embark into hydrogen as a fuel in the future, and I think in Petronas today and a few organizations in how to produce hydrogen in masses safely. I think there was a movie called last time where we saw how a hydrogen generator of fuel and how dangerous it was. But I think today it's not alien anymore. We're working on technologies how to produce hydrogen, and that's why chemical engineers come in. You've got to design the processes and the operations and the thermodynamics of how to make things work. All right.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope for that question, Elham, it answers your questions and gives you some points on what to refer. But next question we have from Najiha Nasir. What skills should I develop to be successful in this field, besides the one that you have covered previously?
In chemical engineering?
Yes, in chemical engineering.
What skill? Well, I've mentioned about the basic skills, like the maths, the chemistry, the physics, and those things. I think if you want to get into chemical engineering, be open to learn about a wide range of other skills that is required to support you as a chemical engineer. So you probably have to learn about environment. You're going to have to learn about, like I mentioned just now, finance, economics, because those are things that make a more rounded engineer, where you can build a commercial model to propose and run a plant in a more commercial manner. And those are things that usually kita masuk engineering, kita belajar engineering, kita technical je. And we always forget about the other skills that is required to make you a rounded engineer. The other skill that a lot of us don't do very well when we get to university is how do we present our ideas? How do we argue our ideas? Right? How do we debate ideas? How do we comfortable putting out an idea that might disrupt the whole group you're thinking? I think that's something that a lot of people are uncomfortable with it. I believe it is a skill that can be learned, and I think it falls under the many elements of how to communicate, and those are things that I believe skills are important, but usually not paid attention to.
Thank you very much. That is very insightful indeed. And I think that's something that can also be applied to other fields as well. Okay, so we have a question from Facebook from Anil Kumar. So he says that he would like to know, what did you learn during your engineering days that you applied in professional life?
Well, I did learn how to run a process engineering facility and how to bring better efficiency in the plant. And I also did learn how to design or challenge a process parameter of a plant, how to make it more efficient, or is it not productive? But I think what I learned the most is my chemical engineering skills. Although my process engineering in upstream was very simple, it's just about separating oil, gas, and water, allowed me to also appreciate my friends who were working in the chemical plants, what they require from us in upstream as the right range of product or crude oil or natural gas that needs to arrive at them. So for example, our petrochemical plants at the time before required a lot of ethane so that they can produce the specialty chemicals and products. And I was able to use that knowledge to talk to our friends in our subsurface, our petroleum engineers. They tell me which reservoir and which well have a higher content of ethane so that we can produce that more. That was done about 15 years ago when I was just a junior engineer. We were talking to our petroleum engineers, can you give me gas that has more ethane? We were laughing at the time because what comes up from the ground has very little control at the time. Yeah. I think that's how I would answer Anil, who's my expert in greenhouse gases. Some of my staff are actually in the FB trying to listen in to me as well. So it's they're keeping me in check.
Oh, no wonder, no wonder. Okay, so we have another question. Okay, this is the last question, I promise. Since it's Saturday.
A few more, as long as people are interested, I'm okay.
Oh, you're okay with more questions? Is that all right? Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Oh, that's so nice. Okay.
It's all right.
Okay. So we have a question from someone who is in an accounting background. I too myself am in an accounting background. So she would like to ask. She's very interested to explore and understand the nature of the business oil and gas. So she is asking for advice, like where should she start and what should she focus on? Practically, she's in a state of she's a clean slate. She would like to know where to start. Yes.
I think there's a couple of books on petroleum economics, and I think those are things that you can look into. Learn about oil and gas accounting. I think there's a few reference documents as well. I can't remember the books on oil and gas accounting, and it's a bit more complex, or I would say complex lah. It's a bit more different than the typical accounting that you would be used to. We get involved in accounting how much oil and gas we've produced and how that translates to value. Oil and gas accounting also tries to design commercial models, how to allow an operator to produce oil and gas for you and give the fair returns to the investor that comes to operate for Malaysia, and for Malaysia to also benefit from the profits and revenues of producing oil and gas. So there are a few books that you can read on oil and gas or petroleum accounting. It involves a lot of the commercial models of how oil and gas businesses are being built, being run. It is definitely, we still do the balancing, the ledger, the right, left, and the balance. It drove me crazy when I learned those accounting practices during my time. when it has to balance. If it doesn't balance, you go crazy. But yeah, it is a bit more than that.
Very true. It's more than that. It's more than that.
It's more than that. Today we argue with our accountants why my profits are lower than my revenue, and what are my gearing and my ratios. Those are things that I actually have friends who remind me what those things mean. Right. So yes, there's books. But I'm sure if you're interested, drop me an email and I'll point you to some of the MRSM Taiping punya seniors who are actually doing petroleum accounting.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. Okay, I will inform her. I will inform her. And she sent her many thanks to you. Okay, so moving on to our next question, and I think this will be the last question. So how does Petronas, from Shazlin, how does Petronas foresee the oil and gas market as the demand for green energy is growing?
Okay. You've probably noticed that Petronas has signed a couple of deals with, or Petronas is offering home solar panels. So we are already in the business of supplying home solar panels, which you can pasang at home. We are now selling electricity to Tesco by putting zero capex investment for solar panels on top of Tesco facilities. So Petronas also now sells electricity in the form of solar panels.
Cool.
We are electrifying our plants, systems and equipments with targeted solar panel power generation options, so that we are a lot greener. We rely less on, and I think Petronas is serious about going into the green energy. We will be expanding significantly in the green energy. For now, it is going to be focused on solar and wind energy. We are researching and learning a lot, and probably putting a couple of investment in hydrogen fuels or hydrogen energy. You will hear that we have to move. We cannot be the conventional
cannot be
oil
stagnant.
and gas.
Yeah.
Whether oil and gas will end, no. I think there's still a lot down there. It's just that we have not explored or not developed technologies to bring out the more difficult oil and gas. What we've got over the last 100 plus years is where when you go and drill, dapat terus oil and gas. Nowadays, we're going to have to go and drill at 2,000 meter water depths. We're going to have to drill in underground structures that are very complex geologically. You've heard probably about shale sands, shale gas, tar sands. Those are more complex reservoir structures where we try to get more oil from. And the challenge is more about keeping the technology cheap, so that we can still sell
At a profit.
oil and gas at an affordable. Yeah, but I think there's a big push today about renewables and green energy, and it is important for all of you to keep up with it. It may not be a direct subject that you will learn, and because as education industry may lag a bit behind, but please keep up with what is happening with solar, the wind turbines, the hydrogen energy, and then those are things that knowledge and skills that will be required to position into the market.
I see. Okay.
Right.
I think because that is our last question. All right. So let's Now, oh, okay. So now we have a special request. So we have a special request. Don't worry, don't worry. Okay, so I'm going to allow participants to unmute themselves. Okay, so I would like to ask everyone to unmute themselves if possible. All right. Okay. I don't see any movement in unmuting. Can you guys unmute yourself? Because I've already opened.
Did you change the setting, Iman?
Yes, I've already changed the setting.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you, Girish Kamal. Yes, more. Come on, guys. Come on. More people unmuting. Let's go.
Yes, kita benarkan dan kita bagi terus bercakap dengan Mr. Hafiz kan? Kan Iman?
Sort of.
Okay.
Okay. I think, okay, maybe you guys want to join later when we start it, but it's okay. But we do still open. Please open your audio. All right, so Jarina, let's go.
Okay. So Hafiz, a lot of them, thank you, Iman. People are asking like, how old are you?
I'm 25.
25, okay. But I have something to show today.
I'm actually 45. So 29 years ago from MRSM Taiping should give a hint on my age.
What were you doing here?
Alamak.
No, just
this was last night. We had a bit of an advance birthday party so that I can spend tonight with you guys. So actually I turned 45 today. I share the same birth date as Surina, who is the CEO of MDEC on your wall of fame. And we were the ketua pengawas dengan the naib ketua pengawas at the time.
So anak-anak MRSM, today is actually Encik Hafiz's birthday. He turned 45 and he chose not to celebrate it today with his family. He celebrated it last night. But let us all sing a song for him. Can we do that?
Yes.
Totally,
In a count of 3,
Sure.
2, 1.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Mr. Hafiz. Happy birthday to you.
Yay!
Thank you.
So ada yang nak doa, boleh baca doa?
I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Hafiz, happy birthday.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Happy birthday, Mr. Hafiz. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
happy
you so much
birthday.
for
I think
spending your
the pleasure
birthday with us.
to share my thoughts with you guys. All right. So Iman, what's next?
Oh, thank you so much for spending your special day with us.
No worries. It's a pleasure. Hopefully, when things get better and the schools reopen, we'll probably come over and have a bit more of a physical conversation and exchanging ideas with all these bright students in MRSM Taiping.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yes, please do. Please do come.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that is the end of it.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Good night.
Iman, maybe some motivation words from Mr. Hafiz for
Oh, yes.
candidate SPM? SPM
Uh-uh.
candidate?
For the SPM candidates, last minute preparation doesn't work. I'll tell you that. It's what you've built over the last 2 years. And don't panic, and believe in yourself. You've prepared for 2 years. Take time to rest for a while. Your mind needs rest. Your body needs rest before that big exam. Cramming things and stressing yourself out is not going to help you. So, and spend time having a conversation with your friend, reflecting how the last 2 years has been, and that will prepare you better to sit in that 2 hours or 2.5 hours of answering the questions and going through your SPMs. And if any of your friends go through some of the papers and they stand up after 1 hour and leave, there's only 2 outcomes. 1, they finish the paper early. 2, they don't know how to answer the remaining questions. So don't worry, just continue on your part. All right, so all the best. It is definitely been an opportunity for me to share my thoughts with you guys. And I wish you the best in your SPM. It's definitely an interesting SPM with added time for you guys to prepare.
Oh, true. Very true.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, my last one lah. After you finish your SPM, and you start going to university and work, I have one thing that I hold until today. Kalau tak tahu, tanya. Please remember that until you are 50, 60, 70, tak tahu, tanya. It doesn't matter whether you're the smartest person or the biggest hotshot CEO in the company or the guru besar at school. Tak tahu, tanya. Jangan malu.
Yes.
Okay? And that will bring you very far. If you are able to overcome your embarrassment and your fear of asking a question. It's just a question. But the return is valuable after asking that question. Okay, thank you. Good night. Thank you, Iman, Ponesha, and Jarina. We'll see you guys soon if there's another invite or opportunity for me to come and share my perspectives.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you so
definitely,
much.
inshallah.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay.
Thank you so
Salam.
much, Panjarina,
Thank you so
Mr.
much.
Hafiz. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
All right. Okay, so I guess that is the end of the talk for tonight. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming, for joining us tonight, and also asking your questions. So for those who wish to share this video with others, please do subscribe to our channel, TEPEN TV, where we have where we will have this uploaded video later on. And also within the channel itself, we have other career talks we have done before this and coming soon. So I guess that's it. Thank you very much, Mr. Hafiz. Hope you have a good night. Hope you have a few more good years ahead of you with your family and with your company. With that, I wish Assalamualaikum and a very good evening, night, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.